Welcome back to the Knowledge Factory. Again, we're sitting here with an awesome man. We're just having an awesome chat with Mr. Richard Norton. Richard, thank you for hanging out with us again, staying with us. Before the break, we spoke on you getting started in the martial arts and how you got started. And I know you wanted to just kind of elaborate on that. Would you do that for us, please?
Yeah, I will, Scotty, because what I want to emphasize, you know, when I said that when I started, it wasn't for the reasons of just becoming a good fighter per se. Obviously, that's an attraction for any red-blooded male. But what I've realized then and what I still realize today, that, you know, today's martial arts, for me, there's an incredible amount of emphasis on, well, would this work in the street? Would this work in real combat? You know, there's a lot of, you know, everybody's talking about MMA, mixed martial arts, but I also, you know, what I try and stress to people in seminars, especially kids, is martial arts to me, aside from having so many other benefits and directions you can take yourself in, meaning that not everybody who does martial arts is ever going to be a champion, but does it really matter? You know, I teach some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques, and I say to them now, look, would you ever use this outstride? Probably never in a million years, but does it really matter? What an incredible chess game we're playing. You know, the ability to do certain things with our bodies, with our mind, you know, to strategize and to sort of just excel in a physical sense that doesn't necessarily have a complete combat application. But you know, I'm not at the stage where I want to compete anymore or do any of that, but I can't tell you how thrilled I get when I learn a new technique that starts to tax my mind and body in a slightly different way. So I think that's very valid, you know, that the kids and everything, it shouldn't just be about combat, it's about the art. We forget this is a martial art, not just a sport. And we also know, Scotty, that with kids in a class, there's not a lot of sports these days we do that involve discipline. It's not just about bowing. Bowing's very Eastern. We shake hands in a Western society, but it's really about a personality allowing themselves to just humble themselves to another human being on the mat, to engage in something that has physical, you know, well, there's problems if you overdo the physical aspect, but it's that respect, that bowing, that yes, sir, that sensei, whatever your titles are, whatever your teacher's titles are. I think that's a very important thing in society, and I think it's very important that kids see us older people doing that, respecting each other. Right. And, you know, I'm sort of getting a bit long-winded again, but there's so many messages, there's so many valuable sort of lessons within the martial arts that have got very little to do with the actual combative side of things.
Right. I don't know if you know, but Master Philip Rhee is actually my teacher. I'm here in Pittsburgh now, but I spent 23 years in California training under Master Philip Rhee, Master Simon Rhee, and Grandmaster Jun Chung. And I've met a lot of people through them, did stunts with Simon Rhee, and that was kind of the spawn for my career. You were one gentleman that I had always wanted to meet, but never ran into you in California, but always wanted to meet you. I wanted to meet Jackie Chan and was able to work with Jackie Chan, and that was awesome. And that brings me to my next question. One of my favorite movies that I watch to this day over and over and over again is Mr. Nice Guy. What was that like?
You know, it was good. It was different to the other, you know, as you know, I did, I don't know, half a dozen Hong Kong movies, a couple with Sammo Hung. Sammo Hung, of course, was directing Mr. Nice Guy. The fact that it was being shot in Australia made it a little different from the experience of working in Hong Kong, because that's radically different, meaning in the amount of hours you work, how long it takes to shoot the movie. So having said that, shooting Mr. Nice Guy was great, and that was through Sammo, the fact that I'd worked with him before and he knew, you know, of my abilities, and we were friends. And the funniest part for me is when they first decided they're going to slick my hair back and give me a big cigar and a funny striped suit. And I'm saying to Sammo, come on, why do I have to look like a bloody idiot here? Can't I just be a normal-looking bad guy? No, we slick your hair back and... Plus, he wanted me to like put that cigar in my mouth and continually puff it so there's just always smoke, and I've never smoked. And few times I'm like, oh man, I'm going to check out here in a moment, you know. But, you know, it was a lot of fun. One of the reasons, of course, is actually being able to shoot a lot of it in Melbourne, which is where I was born. And, you know, for a kid, you know, an asthmatic kid from Croydon, to suddenly go overseas and then end up back in his hometown shooting a movie with one of the maestros of the martial arts and Jackie Chan, you've got to go, wow, is this real? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So that alone was a thrill.
We'll be right back with more of the Knowledge Factory.
What is grace?
That's a question I haven't really thought of.
That's kind of a hard definition to give.
I know it has something to do with God.
Probably that French woman that works at my apartment complex named Grace.
To me, is kindness and goodness.
A ballerina is graceful or something like that.
Grace, basically, I would say to be thankful.
I'm not big on definitions, but that's what you do right before you eat.
It makes me think of peacefulness. Does that help?
It's the way somebody walks.
Grace is something that you pick up from family.
God is good. God is grace.
Where does grace come from?
Grace comes from your actions and your deeds.
If you let it come to you, it'll be there.
You have to accept yourself, so it really comes from inside.
I just think it's something that everybody should have.
So I would say originally from God, but through other people.
I guess from anybody, you know, anybody that wants to be graceful.
I think you can find grace in other people.
Inside you, in your mind.
I do believe that grace comes from God.
I think he's the only person qualified to give grace.
You know, Richard, I have 2 words that I'd like to say to you, and if you would just kindly come from your heart and talk about these 2 words or define them in your own way. One is passion, and the other one is vision.
Passion is just, again, doing what you love and what you believe you're really meant to be doing. There's a guy called Buckminster Fuller that wrote a book, you know, called The Critical Path. And he basically made his life, he invented a geodesic dome. He was considered an absolute genius. And he explains that if you do in your life what you're really meant to be doing, and I believe in this sense, for me, it's martial arts, that first of all, the universe will take care of you, sometimes just in the nick of time. And as importantly, there'll be what he calls a 90-degree benefit to the universe by you doing what you do. And a quick example is a bee flies to the flower, you know, and all the bee's really worried about is getting the nectar to take back to the hive. But 90 degrees below, his little legs are hanging down and he got all this sticky stuff over them, which is pollen, which is really of no interest to him. And off he goes to the next flower. And of course, we're getting cross-pollination and we're getting basically life. So there's a 90-degree benefit. And I think even if I look at martial arts, you know, sure, for me personally, I want to get stronger and punch harder and faster, but the lessons that I can impart to people around me or students with the spirituality and the ethics and the morality of the arts is what I call a 90-degree benefit to my environment, to society. And that's what passion's all about for me. I think so many people are getting up every day of their lives doing something they don't like doing, they hate doing, they feel they have to do. Fuller used to say it's a matter of getting out of the struggle of making a living. It gets in the way of us being spiritually what we could be, what we want to be. Passion for me is all about that. And in vision is getting a balance. You know, I love reading and listening to Eckhart Tolle, who wrote a book called The Power of Now. It's a matter, again, of what we're talking about, of being in the moment, of just enjoying what is happening right now, because this moment is the only thing that's real. Everything that happened is already past. Everything that you think is going to happen, it may and it may not. It's kind of a fictional story. Be in the moment, but balance it, of course, with a vision of where you want to be, how you want to live your life, things you want to achieve. So again, we're getting that little juggling match there. But again, have a vision that's very positive, that's very positive in the way you live, with the way you conduct your life. And, you know, that's kind of what those mean to me.
One last question, please, and I'm so thankful for this. what advice would you give anyone that would like to be in films or television?
Well, the advice would have to be from a martial arts point of view. I get so many martial artists when I teach seminars coming up to me and saying, oh, how do I get into movies? Or I want to be an action star. The best advice I could give is that when I started martial art movies, there was only a handful of us doing it. I produced a movie in 1994 called Under the Gun, or Iron Fist, and I knew that if I put 6 fights in there that I could sell it, and we did. It's a very different world today. Nowadays, it's about character, it's about performance, it's about dramatic skills. The fights are almost incidental to that. So the advice I give martial artists is if you spend 4 hours in the dojo or your school a day training, you need to spend an equivalent amount of time developing the craft or the art of acting. Otherwise, you'll always be thug number 4 or 5 that never gets to utter a line,
Right.
I mean, they need you to know how to be on a set, the mechanics of being on a set, how camera works, and et cetera, and that's what it's about. I mean, these great actors don't become great by accident. They're kind of like us. Their passion is in the dramatic arts, ours is in the physical arts. So it has to be a combination of both if you're going to succeed in this industry these days.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Can we do this again?
Absolutely, anytime.
Thank you. Thank your wife, Richard, so much for this time, and we'll be talking soon.
Lovely. All right. Thanks to all the audience out there. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
We'll be right back with more Knowledge Factory.
A phone that plays music, connects to the internet, and displays HD movies. You thought it couldn't get any better. Then we added a garage door opener, TV remote, paper shredder, handheld vacuum, and scale. You thought you'd seen it all. You didn't think we could add a cheese grater, an electric air pump, a lip balm dispenser, a beard and nose hair trimmer, or a taser. You never thought you'd be performing LASIK surgery on yourself, fishing, or rotisserie a chicken. What could we possibly add to a phone that can launch itself into suborbital space flight, predict the weather, detect the smell of fear, and indicate who your soulmate will be with 97% accuracy? How could it possibly get any better? Well, it has. Our latest accessory is Intercessory. A gentle electrical jolt reminds you to pray without ceasing. If you're unsure of who or what to pray for, just give it a shake and let random acts of kindness pick for you. Or, if you just don't have time, use one of our pre-recorded prayers for all occasions.
God is great. God is good. Let us thank Him for this food.
The iPhone. Solving life's dilemmas, one 3G prayer at a time.